the best. I'm blessed to know that lust is a test. I used to be the victim, now I'm just envisioning. I'm knowing this is.
I'm Suzi Landolfi, and welcome to Be Crazy Well. Now, why would a therapist say that? Because we all have mental health struggles, even therapists. The good news is we have so much more information about how we can be crazy well. On my podcast, we don't focus on what's wrong with us. We want to know what happened to us. We're going to explore how trauma affected us, both negatively and positively. That's right. I said positively. It's called post-traumatic growth, and it's a real thing. Be Crazy Well will share mental health wellness practices, the newest mental health research, and most importantly, how we all get to create the person we deserve to be and the life we deserve to live. So join the mental health evolution and be crazy well. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Be Crazy Well, because you know that's what I believe. I believe if we're going to be crazy, which you all have a little bit of crazy, we might as well do it well. And I'm so grateful today. Some of you know that I belong to an organization called Merging Vets and Players, where we take combat veterans and retired professional athletes or current combat veterans and current players, and we put them together. And we have 8 chapters or 7 chapters around the country right now. We're so excited about that. And I get to meet some of the most remarkable human beings that I've ever had the privilege to know. And so for my very first guest from MVP, I chose Shonn Richardson. Can you see her? Look how fabulous she looks. She and I have the best hair in MVP. That's what everybody says. Between Shonn and I, we got it going on. And so I invited her because she's a remarkable woman that comes from a remarkable family, has a remarkable story, and now she's a remarkable grandma. We don't call ourselves grandma. We call ourselves grandmas. So she is all that and more, and she's an inspiration to our members. And I want her to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her story and why it's so important for all of us to connect and what we offer one another. So Shonn Richardson, this is a great way for us to hang out. Usually we're hanging out after the MVP and we're talking shit about what happened and, and in our lives and all of that. Now we're gonna have to be a little bit, no, we don't. I was gonna say we have to be a little more professional. No, we don't, Shonn. We just get to be us. So Shonn, tell everybody what I know about you and your sort of remarkable, not sort of, your remarkable story of what you've accomplished and done in your life.
Well, thank you, Suzi, for this invite. I feel so honored that you invited me for your first guest. So thank you very much for that. Like I said, I think it's been maybe a little over a year that I belonged with MVP. I retired out of the military after 28 years.
Oh, how many years?
28.
28. Just want to make sure everybody hears that. Oh, is that your dog?
You hear my crazy dog?
I hear you're crazy. Oh, be crazy well. So of course, we're gonna have crazy dogs.
I'm over here stomping my fingers and like trying to move my foot because whenever I get on the computer or the phone, they act the fool. They start running around doing stuff. So
the same with kids.
Yes, they are. So I have 2 bad kids, 2 female Great Danes who also think they run the house, and now the other one's over there hitting the window because she wants to go out and bark at the dog outside. But we're gonna ignore her. But like I said, I come from a military family. My dad retired after over 30 years. And so he's a Vietnam veteran. And like I said, he retired at over 30 years. So I followed behind my dad with the footsteps. When I decided to join the Army, I joined because I kept thinking that my parents wouldn't have enough money to send all of us to college. Because I have a lot of brothers and sisters. And so Tony was 7. So Tony was the youngest. And I was like, well, he's got to go to college. I mean, somebody has to go out of the family. So I joined the military because I was like, I want my parents to be able to at least send my brother to college. Little did I know he was so doggone smart, and he ended up getting a scholarship to go to Auburn University.
So wait, you sacrificed yourself.
I did.
Right.
I sacrificed
And
myself.
then the little brat brother
Yes,
who we adored
yes, yes.
gets a scholarship.
He gets a scholarship. So I was
On
already
what?
in the
For
army.
what? What was he doing that he got? Not only was he smart, what else was he doing?
Well, played football.
Right.
So,
And he played football for the NFL, actually,
yes,
for
yes,
17 years.
for your
None of you do
17 years.
anything, none of you do anything small. You do
Right.
everything long and difficult and all of that. All right. So now you join the military to sacrifice once
Yeah, I
again.
sacrificed myself,
Yeah.
joined the military, and so did that, like I said, for the 28 years. It was a very interesting ride. I stayed everyone always asked, why'd you stay so long? And I wanted to make sure that I have a son who's 27. That's the one who's made me my grandma now. That's a new title I have. And so I wanted to be able to stay long enough for him to get out of school and for him to reap some of the benefits that come along with the military. So I stayed the 28 years. Like I said, it's not a bad life, but it's not an easy life either. So
once again, so first you went into the military because you looked at the total family, not just yourself, but you looked at your mom and dad, the pressure on them. You watched your dad, like he did the same thing to help support his family. And then once you knew Tony was okay, you then focused on your son and you said,
Yes.
well, I'll stay because then he reaps the benefit. So that's how I know you. I know you of someone who's always been of service. You weren't in the service. You're a person of service. Does that resonate? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. When I think about it now, yes.
Yeah, it just naturally kept going. Well, I got to watch out for this one. I got to watch out for that one. I got to make sure things are okay. And tell me a little bit more about your service, about what you did, some of your accomplishments there, besides just 28 years is a huge accomplishment already, especially for a woman.
Yeah, so when I decided that, Tony was doing all these great and fabulous things, so I had to do something to keep up. So I went to airborne school, and my dad, while he was in the military, he was a tanker, so he didn't do the airborne school, air assault, he did none of that. So I was like, I'm gonna do something that the rest of them haven't done. So I went to airborne school, completed that, and just kind of hung out for those like I said, the last couple of years. I'm a logistician by trade, but my last 5 years of job is I did SHARP, which is sexual harassment and awareness and prevention so it's basically soldiers who have been sexually harassed or either sexually assaulted. So I help assist them to like their new normal. So that was what my last job was. And so there again, I guess, servicing other people.
Again, and you did deploy?
Yes, I deployed to Kuwait. Well, first Desert Storm, because I was in there for so long. So my first initial deployment was to Desert Storm. I've been to Korea 3 times, which those are not really counted as the deployments, but then Kuwait a couple of times and Afghanistan.
So tell me, what was it like for you as a woman to be in combat? Did you see any different? Were you treated any differently? Was there anything that we as civilians deserve to know and understand what it is that you have done and what happened to you?
So that's kind of like a tricky question. I could say that out of my 28 years, they were not, there were some that it was good, it was easy, but being a female and pretty much a predominantly male organization, it makes it a little testy at times. Like I said, you go through different things. You don't realize how like a simple bottle of water is taken for granted, or to be able to wash your hands or take a shower, the simple stuff that I think most civilians take for granted, that we as soldiers, well, I say we as soldiers, not me soldier anymore, but as a soldier, you have to, there's a lot of things that don't come easy. And so.
And you said predominantly male. So you have this very strong father, you have brothers. And so do you believe that your childhood helped train you to be able to deal with these this predominantly male organization?
Well, I think that my dad helped prepare me, because when I joined the military, that's back when we used to wear boots, this leather boots and uniforms. And so when I joined the military, that was my side hustle, because I already knew how to shine boots. I already knew how to iron uniforms. And so that was a chore that I did as a kid. And so when I went into the military, it was like, most people, they don't know anything about shining boots or ironing uniform. So in basic, in AIT, that was my side hustle. That's how, I made a little extra money, because I would do it for other people and have them pay me. Because why not? I know how to do it already. Because like I said, that was a chore of ours. Or like going to what they call KP, which is when you do the kitchen duty. Like I already knew how to do all that stuff, because my dad was the type that if he found one dish with some water on it, like all the dishes had to come out the cabinet and be rewashed. And every night, before you go to bed, when you're cleaning the kitchen, you're sweeping and mopping the floor, wiping down the counters. And to this day, my dad still does that.
And
my mom will wipe the counters off, and my dad will go behind her and wipe the cabinets off again, because to him, it's just not clean enough. And so that was cleaning up was easy for me, because like I said, I did it as a kid, so.
I oftentimes say this, and the people that follow this podcast know that I'm always saying there's nothing wrong with you. It's what happened to you. It's your childhood training is your first basic training. So one of the things that I'm hearing, and I truly appreciate and understand, even though it was difficult, I'm sure, even as a child, to have that kind of responsibility put on you by your dad, in the long run, it helped you. Now,
Yes.
I'm not going to diagnose your dad and say he has OCD, but I might.
Oh, he does.
He does.
We all do. We all have OCD.
Exactly.
So my other siblings, Tony, we all have OCD.
Right. And
right
so
to this moment, right now. So I'm getting ready to go visit my grandchild. And
for
so
the first time.
I'm going to be gone for about 3 weeks. So this week I have been going through all the cabinets, make sure all the dishes are in order. Because I was like, if something happens to me and somebody has to come to my house, I want my house to be clean and in order. I want my house to be clean and in order. So that I don't know why, but it's just one of those things. I want everything to be clean and in order. So I've cleaned out all the cabinets and all the drawers and dress everything. Yeah.
That's right.
I got it bad.
And this idea of be crazy well, this is why I'm talking to you about this, and why I put a different spin on our training. So I say everything is like salsa, mild, moderate, or severe. And so I know that when you were in Afghanistan, there was no way you could wipe everything clean all the time. You're laughing because So you were able to also adjust, because when we have that kind of pressure on us and that need to have things in order, which helps calm us, what I'm hearing is you also were able to let it go when you had to. When you had to, you did.
Yeah, but what's crazy though? So in Afghanistan, or any times that I was deployed, I learned that, I didn't have an iron, and eventually my roommate and I, we acquired an iron and an ironing board. And so in Afghanistan, we had iron uniforms. But when I didn't have an iron, I learned that if you put you have your cot, and you put your clothes underneath your mat, and then that way it'll have that pressed look. So I learned how to press clothes without even having to have an iron. But we did, my roommate and I, like I said, we acquired an iron and an ironing board, and we were, but it was that OCD thing in me of always having to look neat. Even though you're in a combat zone, I had to have that look, because it made me feel better. Because if I have wrinkled clothes on, I don't feel good. And even to this day, if I have something on that's wrinkled, I don't feel good. I don't feel myself. And so I have to put it in order.
So it also, though, it made you very resourceful. So you learned how to figure out exactly. Yeah,
it sounds so. It doesn't sound like I'm that crazy when you put it in, when you say it like
but that. It's true. You're not that crazy. You're crazy well. And I want to say, so I have it too. And I had a very chaotic childhood. And therefore, the OCD helped me feel better. You said it exactly right. It literally calmed my central nervous system so that I could breathe, so that I could go off and do things. And I also learned where I could make it mild, moderate, or severe. Like I was in charge of where it was on that spectrum. And it was a practice. It took a while so that I can go camping or I can go somewhere and not necessarily have to be controlled by it. I get to manage it. It will never go away. I don't want it to go away. I have friends tell me, we love to invite you to our house. And I go, why is that? Because I'm funny? And they go, no, because you leave it better than what you found it. So I'm okay with my way that I've learned to manage my central nervous system that came from trauma. And I'm thinking your dad did the same thing. Not only that, he found a place that he belonged. The military rewarded him for that and didn't see it as crazy. They actually saw it as a superpower, and right. and then you saw it. Now, what I think is so wonderful is that now you're going to be a grandmother. You are a grandmother. What am I saying? You're going to go see your grandchild for the first time. You've been a mom. Tell me about what it was like to manage being a mother and also being in the military for 28 years, because you actually said something to me last night that really struck me. And I don't know if you want to share that, but you shared something that was so profound when we were talking about being a grandmother and how different that's going to be from being a mother.
So when we talked last night, and like I said, my feelings have, so I'm trying to keep everything in check so that I don't be like how my mother was with me, as far as being overbearing, as far as with, my son and my daughter-in-law. So I'm trying to keep that part on the, in check. But when I was talking to you last night, we were talking about how it's hard being a soldier, because if you have to deploy, somebody has to take care of your child. Like, as he's growing up, like he can't stay by himself. He probably would have loved to, but he can't stay by himself. And so you have to have someone. And for me, it was hard because my son would always go to my mom, even though I can be right there, I'm not deployed. And so I had to learn to pick my battles and realize that I have to be thankful for the fact that I had parents who would drop everything they were doing to come and take care of my son, Andre. Regardless of if I called them at 5 a.m. and said I had to leave at 2, they're here. And so I had to learn to realize to pick my battles and realize that, hey, I have to embrace the blessings that were given to me, that I have someone, because a lot of soldiers don't have that ability, and their families can't just drop what they're doing to help take care of, their dependent should they have to go anywhere. And so whether I went, and it didn't matter whether I went to a school or whether I was deployed, because at first, like I said, it used to hurt my feelings that my son would go to my mom. But then I had to think, well, okay, it's good that he has a second person to go to. And like I said, when I retired, I had to thank them the utmost, because I wouldn't have been able to do that job if I didn't have my brother, Tony. And because Tony and I are the closest. My other siblings, we're close, but we're not as close. So Tony and I we're close in age. And so Tony always stepped in and was there for Andre his whole life. My parents, like I said, regardless of what my mom, my dad, my mom would quit her job to come, to be able to take care of Andre. So I just, I had to realize that it is a blessing for me to have a family who would be willing to do that. Like I said, when I retired, I had to thank them the utmost, because I wouldn't have been able to do what I did if I didn't have them.
And it's why we say, and we know, and as a civilian, what I have learned over and over and over again is that families serve, not just a person.
Right.
Right. So again, your family, not only did your dad, but your mom served, the siblings served, Tony served.
Yeah, right. My dad, I can say he served even after he had retired. He still was serving, because like I said, Andre was his right-hand man. He was everywhere he went. Andre was right there with him, with their 2 pieces of peppermint that they always had going for each other. But my dad was there. My Tony was there. My mom, like I said, my mom would quit if she didn't get the time off, she would like just quit the job. And I was like, it's not that serious, but she would quit her job to be able to be there, for me. Because my mom, when my dad was gone, my mom was the one who took care of the household. So she knew the importance of what her role was as mom, as grandma. And like I said, sometimes I didn't like it, but then I had to realize, like, I just had to be thankful for the blessings that I had, remarkable parents and family to step in and take care of us.
How old were you when you went into the military?
Oh my gosh. 23, 24.
So a little later than maybe
Yeah,
some, right?
Mhm.
So you're a young woman and you're working or doing what you're doing. And when was that moment that you said, okay, I need to go in because Tony needs to go to college? And what else? Was there anything else that said to you, this is a good choice for me?
So I tell people, even now to this day, when I talk to young soldiers, make rank, and then it becomes a little bit easier because now you're telling other people what to do versus people telling you what to do. And so once I realized that, I was like, hey, because it's a game. And so and it's the same thing, I think in the civilian sector is just that, we have a certain way to look and act. And so I realized that this army thing ain't really that bad. Because, and I used to tell myself, you know what, when I go to work, I'm at work. When I come home, I'm at home. Like, not bring the work at home with me and with my child, because I realized Andre's not a little soldier. I wanted him to be a little soldier, but he wasn't a little soldier. That was my child. And so I had to separate. So I would just tell myself, whatever happens at work, it happens in work, but it doesn't come home with you. And when I was in Desert Storm, the worst detail we ever had to do was burn shit. So I was like, regardless of what detail, if you tell me to go out there, cut grass, move rocks, there's nothing worse than burning shit. I used to tell soldiers, if you have a detail where you have to burn shit, okay, but there's nothing else they can tell you to do that's worse than that. And so that's how I was able to just keep it going. It's like, because this, they're going to give me some money, they're going to give me some clothes to wear, and they give my son some, benefits, some medical benefits and school benefits. So I was like, yeah, I can do this. I had to, like, to me, it was like just a sacrifice to keep food on the table. And then I was like, if I started in the civilian sector, I might have to work a little, like a civilian job may want me to work harder than my army job. So I was like, I can do this.
And when you talk to your younger soldiers, because I would imagine in 28 years, you changed a lot. Like, you were growing with the military and growing in the military. Tell me, what were some of the most important moments for you in the military when you were talking and helping somebody younger? And because you also at the end said you were working on sexual assault and sexual harassment. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about how that came about and how that changed you.
So I started working with soldiers who were sexually harassed and sexually assaulted because it happened to me in the military. And so as a young soldier, I can remember being harassed in airborne school. There was a sergeant, they call them sergeant, drill sergeants or whatever. And so he was threatening females. He was telling them, I can have you pushed out the plane, and, these things can happen to you. And, if you tell, then this, I can make things happen to you that they wouldn't think it was they would think it was just an accident or whatever. And that was my first exposure. And that was like right as soon as I joined the army, but I couldn't tell my dad because my dad didn't want me to be in the military anyway. So I had to just like tough it out. But that was my first experience with the military. And like, we had to take a lie detector test because they didn't believe the younger female soldiers. And so we had to take this lie detector test. And then when that all happened, I first thought, do I want to do this? Because this is very stressful, to go through it. So my whole military career, I've gone through some type of harassment whether it be simple stuff, but it happens. And so I don't think there's no female in the military period, nowhere, no matter what anybody tells you, that can say they were never at least sexually harassed. And then I was sexually assaulted. And so with that, I just kept that in the back of my head to realize that, you know what, I got to be able to provide food for my son. I got to be able to want to have nice things. And I saw my dad be able to retire and not have to get a job. And I was like, you know what, I have to stick this out because I want to be able to do that same thing. So I just kept it in the back. And so when the opportunity came to me that I could help other soldiers, I jumped right on it because it's like, I've been that soldier. And so I know what they go through and you have to figure out what people always say, get back to normal, but you have to at that point, it's find a new normal, because there is no getting back to normal. It's finding your new normal. And so I took pleasure in helping, not pleasure in their assault, but helping them get to their new normal, helping them get to where, they can go to sleep at night and not have nightmares, so that because of what happened to me, I was able to find the good and be able to help other people, like I said, just to get back to what their new normal is. Now, but I don't know. I never really told too many people about the sexual assault. And even though it's like Tony and I, we talk every day, but I never really told him about that because I think that it would hurt them. And I think, like, especially like for my dad, I think it would hurt him to know that something that he served in for so many years, and it's like a betrayal, I think, but I don't see it that way. I try to stay positive and find the good in everything. So, I mean, there's no good in being sexually assaulted, but I just try to find that everything happens for a reason. And so it helped me to be able to help other people because of the experience. Because if you haven't experienced it, it's hard for you to help someone or give them any type of advice if you haven't experienced it for yourself.
And you're not only helping the men and women, because men have been sexually assaulted as well.
There's more men assaulted in the military than there is women. And people don't want to believe that, but there's more men because they don't realize there's more men, there's more of them than it is of us.
Right.
And so I dealt with a lot of males, and people would say, well, males can get assaulted. Yes, they can. And they can be just as traumatized, if not more, than a female. So it kind of goes both ways.
And sexual assault is about power. It's not about sex.
Right.
It's just like hitting someone with a baseball bat. It's the same thing. Right. So it's not about your sexual orientation either. It's about power, and it's using sexual assault as a way to take more power from people. So what's interesting to me, also having been a sexual assault thriver, I'm not a survivor, I'm a thriver.
Yes.
You're right. First of all, one of the reasons why I don't use the word resiliency is because I don't want to go back to where I was.
Right.
I want to go and be better and stronger. So that's number one. I have no desire to get back to my normal or where I was. I want to go beyond it. And number two, you are a pioneer. You are a disruptor, a great disruptor, which is one of the many reasons I adore you, is that you disrupted a place that deserves disruption. The military deserves to be disrupted. It deserves to change. I'm a therapist. I'm a disruptor in the mental health arena, because at one time we used to drill holes in people's heads to let the demons out. That's where modern psychology started. We don't do that anymore, thank God. And so we all need to evolve. We need to grow and evolve and change and become better at being a true team, a true tribe, a true community. And so what you've done is not just help those individuals, you've literally helped change an organization that deserves to evolve and to grow and to get better and be safer.
Yeah, I had a leader who told me, you have to get a seat at the table. To be heard, you need to have a seat at the table. And so I just started in my mind, start saying, okay, what jobs will give me a seat at the table to be able to stand up for other soldiers, whether it be male or female? Just where will I be able to fit in and assert myself without being, so I'm 5'9", and I'm almost 200 maybe, but people used to say, those, you have strikes against you because you're a Black female, and then you're larger than the average female, and you're taller, and so you have to not so much dumb it down. But I had a boss who was barely 5 foot tall, and so to get my point, if I stood up and talked to him, he would not listen to what I said. So I had to purposely put a chair on the other side of his desk, and if I wanted to have a serious conversation, I'd come and I'd sit in the chair, because then we could meet eye to eye. Now, should I have had to do that because he was challenged? No, but that's how I was able to get my foot in the door and get a seat at the table. Because sometimes, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't have done that. Well, for the benefit of the soldiers, sometimes you got to go to alternate means to get someone to take you seriously, first of all. But if I, like I say, if I towered over him, I wasn't getting nowhere. But be able to sit and look him eye to eye, even though I'm sitting and he's standing, but it worked for, for what I wanted it to work for. So you got to figure out what works for you and make it work for you.
And one of the reasons I respect you so much is that when you are a person of service, you'll do whatever it takes. It's not just your ego, not just your wanting to be right, you're wanting to be validated. You'll do whatever it takes to make that outcome greater for everybody, not just for yourself. And that's true service, Shonn. That's what we need more of in the world. And that's why it's important that when courageous men and women like you come out of the service, we need you more than ever here. And I know that civilians can be irritating. I'm a civilian. I know I'm irritating, and I know that other civilians are irritating. I get that. I get it every day. The point is, we need you here, and we need your voice, and we need your wisdom, and we need your experience. So for me to ask you to be the very first member of MVP to be on this podcast was my choice, because we need you, and I want the world to know more about you. And we want to make sure that you are, in fact, helping us grow and us get better as a community, as a country. This is a war zone sometimes. This is a combat zone sometimes. Our families are sometimes combat zones. And it's difficult. And so we need wise elders like yourself. And I'm older than you, so I can call you an elder because I'm much older than you. And I'm proud of it. And I always say to people younger, you're an EIT, you're an elder in training.
Yes.
That's what you are.
I'm okay with being an elder, because, what's the alternative? I don't want the alternative. I used to tell people that I was going to be in the military till death do us part. And I know it sounds crazy when you say that, but I started thinking about it. I was like, death do me part. Okay, well, thank the Lord that death didn't hit me, but I was in it, like, how they say you're in it to win it? I was in it to win it, because it's like, hey, till death do us part. So
well, we're going to bring you back. We're going to have some more of Shonn Richardson. And I just, again, appreciate you. And all of you, if you want to know more about MVP, you can go to the website, vetsandplayers.org, vetsandplayers.org, and find out more about us and where we're located. And we actually have Zooms that I get to see Shonn at all the time. So during the week, and it's every week, you can be connected to us at MVP through our wonderful huddles and organization. So, and I want to thank Calvin Love for the theme song. You'll have to hear this. I'm going to send this to you, Shonn. So Calvin Love wrote this song, and he let me have it for a theme song. It's called Be Your Best Self. And it's a great, great, great song. And you should check him out on Spotify and all the other music places. Shonn, thank you. I'll see you soon. And by the way, everybody, she came to my wild horse sanctuary, Lifesavers Wild Horse Rescue. And I just want you to know two things. Those horses really paid attention to her. She had this wonderful gift of being with the wild horses. And I'll actually post a picture of her, and put your nails up again, Shonn, put your nails up. Yeah. Can I only tell you how much the wild horses loved being scratched by her nails? They loved it. Don't take them off. They're very, very useful when you're around horses. Bless you, Shonn. And bless you, Glamma. I can't wait to get more pictures of your grandson. He's how many days old now?
Just one day. He was born yesterday at 8:15 in the morning.
Oh my
gosh. I talked to them this morning, and she was like, I only got 45 minutes of sleep.
Tell her she's lucky she got 45.
I know. I was like, what are you talking about? This is just the first day. What are you doing? Yeah,
that's great. Thank you, Shonn.
I can't wait.
Bless you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Be crazy well. Make sure
be crazy well.
Be crazy well. Bye-bye.
Love yourself.